आज की इस वीडियो में हम ब्लूम्स टैक्सोनॉमी के बारे में पढ़ेंगे। ओवरऑल ब्लूम टैक्सोनॉमी इज रिलेटेड टू 3 H of education process that are head, heart and hand। मजमूई तौर पर ब्लूम टैक्सोनॉमी का वो 3 H हेड, हार्ट और हैंड है, दिल, दिमाग और हाथ। नोट, in each of 3 domains, Bloom's taxonomy is based on the premise that categorized are order in degree of difficulty. An important premise of Bloom's taxonomy is that each level must be mastered before progressing to the next. As much the levels within each domain are levels of learning development, and these levels increase in difficulty. Writing cognitive domain objectives. In teaching learning process, cognitive domain of Bloom's taxonomy is of prime focus. So let's discuss this domain in detail and learn to write objectives of this domain. Evaluation, synthesis, comprehension, knowledge. Writing cognitive domain objective. Cognitive abilities in this taxonomy are arranged on continuum ranging from lower to higher. An analogy depicting the taxonomy of learning objectives can be taught as assembling blocks in building of a pyramid. The knowledge level creates the basis for the foundation from which the higher level skills are built. When writing educational objectives, a teacher must note that for a good objective, it is necessary to use clear verb. एक अच्छे ऑब्जेक्टिव के लिए ज़रूरी है कि क्लियर वर्ब का इस्तेमाल किया जाए। That clearly indicates the टाइप ऑफ ऑब्जर्वेबल बिहेवियर, जो कि मुशाहिदा किए गए रवैये को साफ तौर पे निशानदेही करे। The following table will not only help you to understand the level of cognitive domain, but will guide you what action verbs can be used to state objectives of that particular level. Learning objectives and action verb. लर्निंग ऑब्जेक्टिव सबसे पहले नॉलेज है, डिस्क्रिप्शन है इसकी। द फर्स्ट लेवल ऑफ लर्निंग इज नॉलेज। नॉलेज कैन बी कैटेगराइज्ड as awareness of specifics and of the ways and means of dealing with the specifics. The knowledge levels focuses on memory or recall, where the learner recognizes information, ideas, principles in the approximate form in which they were learned. To rank, to define, to describe, to identify, to list, to label, to name, to order, to recognize, to recall, to relate, to repeat, to reproduce, to state, to underline. Next learning objective is comprehension. Description. Comprehension is the next level of learning and encompasses understanding. Has the knowledge been internalized or understood, the student should be able to translate, comprehend, or interpret information based on the knowledge. To choose action verbs, to compare, to classify, to describe, to demonstrate, to determine, to discuss, to discriminate, to explain, to express, to identify, to indicate, to interpret, to label, to locate, to pick, to recognize, to relate, to report, to expound, to restate, to review, to select, to tell, to translate. Application. Application is the use of knowledge. Can the student use the knowledge in a new situation? It can also be the application of theory to solve a real-world problem. The student selects, transfers, and uses data and principles to complete solve a problem. Action word: to apply, to classify, to demonstrate, to develop, to dramatize, to employ, to generalize, to illustrate, to interpret, to initiate, to operate, to organize, to practice, to relate, to restructure, to rewrite, to schedule, to sketch, to solve, to use, to utilize, to transfer. Next learning level is analysis. Analysis involves taking apart a piece of knowledge, the investigation of parts of a concept. It can only occur if student has obtained knowledge of and comprehends a concept. The student examines, classifies, hypotheses, collects data and draws conclusion. Action word for the analysis: to analyze, to appraise, to calculate, to categorize, compare, conclude, construct, criticize, to detect, to debate, to determine, to develop, to distinguish or reduce, to diagram, to diagnose, differentiate or discriminate, to estimate, to examine, to evaluate, to experiment, to inventory, to inspect, to relate, solve or test, to question. Synthesis. Synthesis is the creative act. It is the taking of knowledge and creation of something new. It is an inductive process, one of building rather than one of breaking down. The student originates, integrates, and combines ideas into something that is new to him. To arrange, to assemble, to collect, to compose, to construct, to constitute, to create, to design, to develop, to devise, to document, to formulate, to manage, to modify, to originate, to organize, to plan. Learning objectiveness. Next is evaluation. Description. Evaluation is judgment or decision making. The student appraises, assesses, or criticizes on a basis of specific standards and criteria. To appraise, argue, or assess, to attach, to choose, to construct, to consider, to decide, to defend, to estimate, to evaluate, to judge, to measure, to predict, to rate, to revise, to score, to select, to support, to standard, to validate, to value, to test. Bloom Taxonomy underpins the classical knowledge, attitude, and skills structure of learning. It is such a simple, clear, and effective model both for explanation and application of learning objectives, teachings and training methods, and measurement of learning outcomes. Bloom's taxonomy provides an excellent structure for planning, designing, assessing, and evaluating teaching and learning process. The model also serves as a sort of checklist by which you can ensure that instruction is planned to deliver all the necessary development for students. Bloom's revised taxonomy. Bloom's former student Lauren Anderson and David Krathwohl revised Bloom taxonomy in 1990. Bloom's revised taxonomy was published in 2001. Key to this is the use of verb rather than nouns for each of categories and a rearrangement of the sequence within the taxonomy. They are arranged below in increasing order from lower order thinking skills to higher order thinking skills HOTS. Bloom's revised taxonomy, higher order thinking skills and lower order thinking skills. Creating, evaluating, analyzing, applying, understanding, remembering. Defining